it's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. Today we're going over full Archon Shard Umbral Inaros. I want to see how far I could push health and armor to the limit, basically, in endurance missions, and I definitely think we found around the limit Inaros can take, even with multiple months of farming, multiple Umbra formas, adaptation, and all that jazz. So we're going over that today. Make sure you're subbed to this channel as always. We do daily Warframe video uploads, lots of experimentation and stuff like that. Also got the live stream channel as well, where we did record a bunch of this live and tested things out live. Okay, so the idea of this build is basically 10,000 health, and we're using full Archon shards, and we're using some really strong weapons too. This is going to be a full... Now, I would call it an endurance loadout for Inaros, but we're going to talk about how that isn't exactly the case, and what I would recommend to you if you want to do a level 10,000 mission as Inaros, because he's going to start dying, honestly, around like level 400 or 500 if you're not paying too much attention. If you are paying full attention, he can survive for a couple hundred more levels, but he's going to die like around level 800 anyway, in like one bullet. So, our Archon shards are going to be fully in armor for blues. We've got 150 armor times 5. So we have no Tau shards because you can't actually work towards Tau shards, unfortunately. So we have good, extra 600 armor right there. And as far as the build, I want to see how far we could push a normal Inaros build. And I consider this a normal Inaros build. Everything for health, everything for armor, adaptation, prime sure-footed, Arcane Grace, Arcane Guardian. It's a stock standard Umbral Inaros build. Now, of course, I don't have a maxed out adaptation on here, but keep in mind, this does still stack to 90% once you get shot enough. And this mod is completely useless against the levels Inaros will be dying against. And you should definitely be running Rolling Guard instead of this for really high levels. This build will definitely hold up in like Archon hunts, normal sorties, everyday Steel Path mission, as long as you're not going too high level, okay? So this is what we used on the first test. And we were using Vazarin Focus School. I'm going to get some gameplay of that on the screen here so you can see how that goes at really high levels. And as you can see, I spawn in and I'm already dead. So this is what Inaros gets to deal with. This is with massive armor buffs. Remember, we have Arcane Guardian on here too, so we're getting 900 more armor. Before Arcane Guardian is proc, we have 84.8% damage reduction on our health. But these enemies can still do like multiple thousand damage per bullet to us. So, if you want to survive at this level, you need to run Vazarin Focus School. And the reason for that is because Vazarin Focus School literally makes you invincible for 5 seconds. And then after you're done doing Vazarin Focus School, put on Rolling Guard after that. Since Inaros has no shields, he cannot shield gate. And that means that he cannot survive at this level no matter what. Even though we've jammed a bunch of stuff out here to try and make us survive, armor just doesn't cut it anymore. So, we're going to be talking about that a little bit, what I think that DE should do to make Inaros maybe less terrible, because when I say he's terrible, I mean that really a lot, because his passive is actually worse than having no passive, in my opinion. Since I have fully maxed out focus trees on every node, I have the special ability from Unairu on all focus trees called, I believe it's called Last Gasp. And what that means is when I die, I will become the operator, and I can revive myself by killing a couple enemies as operator. Inaros Coffin overrides that special passive. You cannot go in operator mode with Last Gasp with Inaros' terrible Coffin passive. And you might be like, oh, the Coffin looks cool. It does look cool. I wish it was good, actually. But unfortunately, that Coffin does pretty much no damage at all. If enemies die nearby it, it will revive you, but you can't kill anything at this level with Inaros' Coffin. So that's the general gist of what we're going over today for the Inaros build. Now, I'm going to show you what I would recommend to you if you wanted to do this. And spoiler, it's just, you take the Vazarin Focus School. Now, we are doing Steel Path Void Cascades. You want a bunch of amp damage. That's why Vazarin Focus School is so good with Void Strike and Contamination Wave. And even like other things like Sling Strength and Chain Sling. These are really good for killing high-level Steel Path Thrax. But since you're stubbornly playing Inaros and you aren't allowed to actually survive and have fun like everyone else, you're going to be going to Vazarin. Because this ability right here, allies touched by Void Sling are granted immunity to damage for 5 seconds and healed for 60% of your health over 5 seconds. So, this will work on literally any frame in the game, but you need to use it on Inaros or you cannot survive, because every enemy will kill you in one bullet at that level. And that wasn't even max level. That wasn't even like level 1000 really. So, and as far as the rest of the build, you could honestly, it will be the same thing. This shield getting build right here, just put on Brief Respite to heal your teammates, honestly. it's terrible. It's terrible. He can't shield gate, but we're gonna go over what I use today in that build, because I mean we're actually gonna make it where he can kill some stuff, and I'm gonna show you some synergy. It's not all doom and gloom. I'll show you what we worked on to get this build together. So we have the Felarx. I'm gonna have a full video on the Felarx later this week, guys, but it's definitely become a lot better since they did some quality of life buffs to it. As far as Incarnon modes, we've got Evolution 2, Frictionless Flight, giving us increased projectile speed. This is really good for the alternate fire, like the Incarnon mode. It makes it a sniper pistol. You can hit from across the map with this thing. I basically look at the Felarx as a shotgun primary, and the Incarnon is a sniper pistol. That's kind of how you look at it, or how I look at it. Evolution 3 is magazine size reloaded while holstered. The other one, they're going to be bug fixing soon, Devouring Attrition or something like that, where it's going to be giving you fire rate on reload, but this one's an instant reload. It's faster than reloading it manually, so I like this one a lot. You just swap weapons, you get instantly reloaded. Evolution 4 is Racking Wrath, giving us reduced crit chance, but plus status chance, and if you see me picking that one, you probably know what the last one is. The last one is Devastating Attrition. 50% chance to deal 2,000% increased damage on non-crit hits. We are going to be using a minus crit chance Riven, which, I mean, could be better, but it has minus crit chance, so we're getting access to that Devouring Attrition buff more often. The rest of the stuff on here is going to be for Viral Electric, just a good elemental combination. Also, my Riven has Viral on it, so... now, this mod slot right here, the Shell Shock mod slot, you can change that for other things, too. I had a lower ranked Shotgun Barrage on there before, but since we sometimes have Wisp in our squad, we don't really need that much fire rate. So I just went back with Shell Shock. And our Exilus mod is Prime Ammo Mutation. This thing is full auto. It can shoot through ammo relatively quickly. So I use this just to, if I want to use the main DPS source, this is what I'm going to be rocking. Ammo stock, because we have auto reload, it will reload really fast when we swap. And then as far as the rest of stuff, just, standard condition overload procking stuff right here. We got a magnetic Kuva Nucor. We've got viral, magnetic, radiation, and heat. And then remember, it's Kuva Nucor, so it has the hidden magnetic status effect. So it's even more procs. And another little tool for our healing right here is the Vastilok. This will be our armor stripping source. Now, if you went on Unairu Focus School, you could definitely armor strip that way. We got Shattering Impact. Every impact damage instance will reduce enemy armor by 6. Since the Vastilok fires off bunches of pellets, that will be lots of armor removal. And since we're playing Inaros, Healing Return. Every status type, well, you'll be healed by 11 for every status type affecting the enemy. Since we have so many statuses from all of our other stuff, this will give us good healing, and since we have so much armor and so much health, we will have a huge health pool to work with and a bunch of DR. Our Riven is attack speed just to attack faster. And Weeping Wounds so we can get lots of procs out. Now with all this stuff stacked up, our cat has about nearly 2,000 armor and 16,000 health. So the cat has more health than us. Now this is what you could probably expect from normal everyday gameplay, what you'll be seeing right here. I'm just going to go in there and just face tag. I'm going to actually lower my health with Inaros' 4 to get some more armor. And there you go. So our health is technically going down. That's why casting Xata's Whisper with the Vastilok can be really nice. You see a good 1,000 health there. Now we're unkillable at this level. As long as I am actively just attacking once every, 10, 20 seconds, there's no way we die. And even if I am not attacking every 20 seconds, if we get lucky with Arcane Grace, we're still unkillable. Now let's see how this damage comes out when we are actually using our weapons. So we CO proc, we technically could armor strip, but there's no real reason to. And we're using Xata's Whisper for a couple reasons. One of them is because Xata's Whisper does give you a really big damage buff with those Incarnon weapons. Applying the anti-crit debuff thing twice sometimes because it's an extra hit of void damage. Additionally, it will mean we're getting more procs on the enemies for our healing return. Another proc for that, look at all those procs on her. We will be healing a good, multiple hundred per hit, and since the Vastilok has so many pellets, like I said, very, very nice. And we can also remove enemy armor, or they're just going to die before we even remove the armor. You can actually armor strip Steel Path Thrax really fast with the Vastilok, usually about, I want to say 6 hits. So here's the enemy we're talking about here. And of course, other weapons will work for this. The Fenmore, anything good, honestly, will work for this. We're going to show another Inaros build after this. That if you don't want to use the Vastilok for armor stripping, you can use something else. So we'll be showing Tharros strike. So all of his armor is gone. Now he'll die in one hit, no problem. But here's the problem that we run into, though. Yeah, I did 2 million there, but that might not happen all the time when you're doing Steel Path missions. Okay, so that's going to be the Xata's Whisper build. Like I said, guys, it does fall off around level 5, 600. Unless, and if you're using Vazarin, it's why do I even have 10,000 health? You're going to be permanently gray health with Vazarin. So, yeah. And, of course, other things, you can switch out other things. If you think the armor's useless, like I kind of do, and I think DE should probably add armor gating, you can switch this Arcane Guardian out for something that you'd find more useful, such as Avenger. You don't want to use Avenger with the Felarx, though. Avenger if you're using another weapon, maybe some fire rate mod, or, like, whatever, dude. If you don't think that Inaros tank stats are useful, like I don't think they're useful, the world's your oyster. All right, moving on to the next build. It's going to be extremely similar to the build we have right now, but we're switching out Xata's Whisper for Tharros Strike from Styanax. This will be more if you want to like be, proccing, you want to be removing enemy armor and using a non-vastilok melee, or you just want to be using armor stripping from your frame. There's a couple problems with this. Mainly the range for Tharros Strike is not that great, and if you want to be doing 10,000 health, being the 10,000 health Inaros club, you can't really drop any of this. So you're going to be either dropping something like Hunter Adrenaline, or maybe one of these health mods, honestly, to get a little bit of range if you find that not very comfy. I don't really think it's super comfy. If we put on range, it goes to 13.5 meters, another 4 meters, so that's nice. But Hunter Adrenaline at like normal levels will let you endlessly spam Tharros Strike, but it's only gonna be a 9 meter radius. So the difference on this one is, you just basically run up and insta kill. It's a little bit faster at killing, but it's also, probably a little bit less damage overall if you were to like calculate it. So all the armor's gone in one hit there, as long as he stands still. So see, we did less damage there because we did not have Xata's Whisper at the Felarx. That's the sacrifice you're making. The Xata's Whisper thing honestly might be a bug. It seems like a little bit of a buggy interaction, but at the same time, like, I wouldn't be too surprised. This game has so much spaghetti code interactions that it's like, okay, yeah, that's kind of how we intended it to be. So yeah, those are the two builds. They're both Umbra builds, and let's start talking about what I would do to make Inaros actually able to do high-level missions if I was DE. And it would really come down to making armor gating a thing. There's shield gating in this game, and every frame that can shield gate can do level 10,000 missions if you do it right. Frames without shield gating have an extremely difficult time doing level 10,000 missions without Vazarin dash cheese spamming like I told you earlier in the video. The only two frames in the game without shield gating are Nidus and Inaros. And at least Nidus has a special passive where if he dies, he comes back to life from the Undying passive, as long as you have enough stacks. I believe that Nidus can also use the Last Gasp node from Unairu. The only one that gets completely screwed over from Last Gasp is Inaros because of his terrible coffin passive. And I suppose Sevagoth with his Grim Reaper mode, whatever it's called, Shadow Form. But I don't think Sevagoth's having as many problems as Inaros is. So yeah, armor gating. I'm not sure what number they should pick, but for example, on my fully Archon sharded up Inaros, I've got 1678 health. That's before Guardian procs, like I said. So maybe like every 1,200 armor, you get a armor gate. And what I mean by an armor gate is that you will not be one-shot and maybe get a brief period of invincibility. Now, I'm sure that is extremely abusable, where it's like, okay, well, my Valkyr has 2,000 armor. My Valkyr has 2,400 armor. I can face tank twice before I need to fully heal. I'd say maybe give armor gating a passive or a cooldown instead of a passive. Let's say every armor gate, you get one every 5 seconds if you have enough armor. That would mean even though you can easily fully heal back to full, because I mean, healing in this game is not too hard to achieve, especially if you're using Vazarin Dash. So maybe giving it a cooldown, but at the same time, shield gating doesn't have a cooldown, and it's also very easy to abuse. So it's going to be up to DE what they think. But I personally feel like Inaros is popular enough that he deserves a rework in some way. I didn't even talk about his abilities. I only talked about his Helmet ability I put on him. Because you know why? His other abilities don't matter. Pocket Sand, like, okay, extremely small conal stun that sets enemies up for finishers. That is, my Kuva Nucor stuns more enemies than the Pocket Sand does. And finishers are irrelevant nowadays. Covert lethality does not guarantee one-shot every enemy like it did back in the day. And even then, killing one enemy at a time is extremely slow at the power creep situation we're at nowadays. So, yeah, I'm not even talking about his abilities. I'm thinking about his actual like health and armor stats could use some buffs. Because if you think about it, modding for either health, armor, or even extra shields in the current survivability meta of the game, those are all a waste of mod slots. Modding for extra shields means that you're going to have a harder time getting your full shield gate. Modding for health and armor, as I just showed you at the beginning of this video, it's going to be good for like the swordy levels, but if you're trying to do like an endurance run, those are completely dead stats. And you know, I don't know. I don't know what I would do about that. I think it needs more work than what I'm just talking about, but I think armor gating would be a step in the right direction. You know, the game is extremely easy already at swordy levels. It's not like they're trying to make it harder. So I don't think it would really change too much. It would only really benefit high-level endurance. Now, that might make things even more AFKable if every frame... Maybe what they could do is they could make a class of frames. Like, they put frames in, like classes. Like, okay, the nuker frames, like the ability DPS frames, like Sarin, Equinox, Mesa, blah, 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 they don't get armor gate. But the tank brawler frames, they can make a tier of frames called, or a class of frames called brawlers. So we put like Valkyr in there, we'd put Inaros in there, we'd probably put Nidus in there. No, I know Nidus would be OP with an armor gate, but you know, I'm just spitballing right here. So like frames like that are, you know, meant to be, people refer to these frames as tanky, but if you actually look at the reality of it, they're no more tanky than Ureli. Like, and Inaros is less tanky than Ureli at this level. So it's a very hyper-focused situation right here. But I'm so sick of Inaros being the laughing stock at high levels. It is unplayable. And even after multiple months of farming blue shards, like these take a while to get. I mean, you're a bottleneck to how many you can get per week. Even after all that work, it feels like pretty much exactly the same as if I didn't even farm those, because armor has diminishing returns. It does fall off. And, you know, Is this really that different in normal missions? No, it's not. Your Inaros is going to feel exactly the same in normal missions with all these shards if you didn't have the shards. And I think that's honestly a big missed opportunity and just a little bit negligent, honestly. It's like there's so many mods in this game that if you're trying to go for high-level stuff are just completely, like, actively a waste of a slot and a bad thing. So hope you guys found this video helpful. This build does work. I mean, I'm fighting level X100 right now, 1200 right there on the steel path, and they're not killing me in one bullet, as you can see. But they're also all Magus lockdown and stunned for the most part. I'm also not helping my teammates at all right now because I'm just trying to like see how the survivability is holding up. The test was successful. I mean, he could definitely survive at this level, but you know, at the same time, you could just use a shield getting frame that would not have these problems. Like the Revenant video from a couple days ago, dude. Revenant versus Inaros. It's not even the same game, man. It doesn't feel like the same game at all. You just, everything you mod for on Revenant is power strength. You don't mod for any like survivability stats at all, besides maybe rolling guard if you're lazy. So, yeah, Inaros is crying in the corner, getting one shot, having to use Vazarin dash and rolling guard and endurance. And remember, I'm not even at level 10,000. This is level 1200. At level 10,000, they will kill you in one bullet from across the map. So you have to be perma gray health. So, I hope that something happens eventually, but I highly doubt it. Inaros is a very popular frame that could use a rework, and I think even most Inaros players would agree with me. It's like, okay, his abilities, like, we didn't talk about for a reason. They need some changes. So, I'll see you guys next time. Hope you found the video helpful. Let me know how you feel about these ideas in the comment section. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Take it easy. Peace.